Hello, in this video you're going to learn about sea level rising. And you're going to look at some data from some graphs and you're going to analyze that. There are two ways you can access this student response document. One, you can download it here, or two, you can access it in your class notebook under your name, Assignments A29. So let's go there, and here's what the assignment looks like. So you'll have two graphs and you will be analyzing these graphs by answering these questions. In this video, I made a PowerPoint that will go through and give you help on each of these questions if you'd like. Then after you do this, at the end, there will be a video below this on sea level rise and you answer this question. So let's go ahead and open up that PowerPoint. If you do not need help, just go ahead and start doing this activity. If you do, continue watching. Self-help sea level rise. So, question 1. What is the source of the data for each of the graphs? So to find the source, it says it right there, data source. So that's for graph 1. Coastal tidal gauge records. For graph number 2, the source is down in the corner, and you may not be able to read it, but it is NOAA-climate.gov. Question 2, which years are covered by each graph? So here's our graph, and so the years you can see right there on the bottom. Which years are covered by each graph? So graph 2, again the years are at the bottom. Question 3, is one graph a better representation of global sea levels than the other? So for this, you will have to come up with your own opinion. Is this graph better than this one, or is this one better than this one? And you give your opinion based on what you see there. If we look at the graphs, it does look like this graph has how much the sea level has changed in millimeters. This one, it looks like it has how much the sea level has changed in centimeters. So the numbers are slightly different. This one looks like it has the reasons for why they changed, which is added seawater from mostly meltwater from glaciers that were on land. And then there's a thermal expansion, which deals with water. As it gets warmer, it spreads out, and as it spreads out, it takes up more volume, and thus that will account for sea level rise. And we'll be doing some labs on that later. So you have to decide which graph is a better representation of global sea levels. Question 4, look at graph 1. By approximately how many millimeters did the sea level rise between 1910 and 1930? So if we go to 1910, which is right about halfway between 1900 and 1920, and we can get the sea level right at that point, which would be roughly right around in here. So you have to interpolate. Looks like it's a little bit, maybe more than halfway. So come up with a number that's a little bit more than halfway. And then if we look at 1930, which is halfway between here, so that's there, and it looks like it's right on that line, you could say. So you can go ahead and use that. Then our next information would be 1930 and 1950. So here's 1930. So 1950 would be right between these two, 1940 and 1960. And again, it looks like it's just a hair below, so it's roughly about there. So you would have to interpolate some kind of number. Again, this is a difference of 50, so halfway would be 75, so it looks like it's a little bit above that. Then finally, we have between 1990 and 2010. So our 1990 is right here. And it looks like it's just above the graph. So maybe it's like right about in there somewhere. And again, this is a difference of 50. So this would be 175. So it's somewhere in there. So you have to come up with a number less than 175. And finally, our last one is 2010, which would be like right in here. And again, that's just slightly above our 200 mark, but slightly below our halfway point, which is 225. So come up with some numbers that would fit in there. Question 5, look at graph 2. So here's graph 2. By approximately how many centimeters did the sea level rise between 1925 and 2015? So we have our 1925, which is right here. and it goes to this point, which is over here. And this is in centimeters, so the numbers are slightly different. And we'll go over that in a second. So that looks like our halfway point is roughly about there. So this is just right at our halfway point, possibly. And 2015. So our 2015 mark is right there. So it looks like it's many different spots. So it's about halfway between our 6 and our 8. So it's somewhere right in there. So next, question 6, find a metric ruler and draw a 10 centimeter line in the box below. So you would get your metric ruler and you would just draw a line that is 10 centimeters long in the box on your thing, on your activity. And your centimeters, again, for those people who are not used to reading, this is our inches on the bottom, our centimeters are here. And centimeters are the bigger marks, so there are 10 millimeters. Each of these little marks is a millimeter, and there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. So here's our 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 centimeters, or it is 100 millimeters. So question 7, there are 10 millimeters and 1 centimeter. How many millimeters has the sea levels risen between 1995 and 2015? Well, we know that our answer was 7 centimeters on our answer sheet, and 7 centimeters is here, and that would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 millimeters. So 7 millimeters is, 7 centimeters is the same thing as 70 millimeters. According to graph 2, what are the 2 main contributors to sea level rising? So on graph 2, you can see the 2 main contributors are melt water from glaciers coming off of the land and thermal expansion are the 2 main contributors to sea level rise. And then question 9, you'll watch the video that is posted on Haiku, and you'll answer the 2 questions there. That concludes this self-help video. If you have any further questions, please see your science teacher.